In this video, we are going to be taking a look at 5 of the best decks, including budget decks that you can use for the Fusion/Xyz Festival. We already went over the King of the Island Festival, which is starting first, just a couple of days before the Xyz Festival does, or the Fusion Xyz Festival. So make sure you check the link in the description for that. But this festival is a lot less restrictive. Engines aren't completely hammered and nerfed, and you have a lot more meta relevant decks available. So let's go ahead and jump straight in to what I think might be the best deck for the event. In my opinion, Exosister might just be the best deck for the event. If not, it will definitely still be very, very high up there. It's not cheap to make. 12 ultra rares in engine alone. But the reason that this deck is so powerful is because while the overall power level of the format is significantly reduced, Exosister is essentially full power. Now, of course, what we're going to do is take a look at the forbidden list and look up the engine, and I already know that Returnia is banned, but the deck doesn't really need that in a lower powered format. It's definitely one of the best cards in the deck for sure, and it's 2 additional disruptions with banishing, but you don't necessarily need that. The deck is dynamic enough in a lower powered format where you don't have to deal with some of the really top tier meta decks. The deck can definitely hold its own, and it will be a very strong contender. The only thing that you really lose out on, aside from the Returnia, is a consistency card and the Prosperity, but every deck should pretty much be playing Prosperity more or less, just a few of them don't. But having full access to the entire array of Xyz monsters from Exosister, as well as the Zeus line, just makes this deck incredible. Plus you can add in like additional non-engine to help you facilitate your Exosister Xyz summoning. Like if you just have a regular Exosister on board, you can run DD Crow in this format if you want. Whereas in regular mode, regular ranked mode, Exosister is still a force to be reckoned with the Returnia, but you don't normally play DD Crow, right? So this deck will definitely be a top tier contender, and you can supplement it with additional very powerful staple cards like Triple Tactics Talent and Nibiru to just further your dominance. And if you don't know what Exosister does, basically they Xyz summon, they set up banishes, and they can dynamically switch out Xyz summoning during your opponent's turn in order to bring out the fresh Xyz monster, which can then banish again. The Returnia, like I said, does hurt it a little bit, lowering the deck's power level, but the deck is still going to be very, very powerful when you know how to use it correctly. If we take a look at the deck list, I'm going with 2 DD Crow, 2 Effect Veiler, 3 Maxi, 3 Ash, 3 Ellis, 3 Stella, 2 Irene, 3 Sophia, and 3 Martha for the monsters, and 2 Nibiru. Now normally you think you maybe play like 2 Stella and 1 Irene normally, so this is a slight like additional count of Exosister cards, but you can do that because you can afford to run some more of the better Exosister cards in a lower powered format. And then for the spells, we've got Triple Tactics Talent times 2, 2 Call by the Grave, 1 Crossout Designator, and triple Exosister packs. In the Dark versus Light event, packs was limited to 1, and it hurt the consistency of the deck a little bit. But with having 3 packs, you just have another way to get your starters going, and it just increases the consistency of the deck, which, once this deck gets going, it's very hard to stop. Now, Evenly Matched is banned for this event as well, which is another one of their key going second cards, but the deck can still function going second quite well, so you shouldn't have too much to worry about. Plus the fact that you're playing a number of different hand traps as well. Just, you can see, like, the deck is just engine and hand traps. Like, it's going to be good going first, second. It's going to be good for the event. Of course, trap cards, triple Impermanence and triple Vadis as well, with no Returnia in sight. For the extra deck, 1 Abyss Dweller if you want to make it. I just had one, so I threw it in there, but clearly I'm not making Exosister for the event because I'm not crafting 12 ultra rares. We got 1 Baguska in case you need to stall. Triple Mykalis, this is your main like extender for the spell and traps, but your first Xyz summon will normally be the Caspital because this card searches out like your Martha. You got the Gabrine for a negate, I think. Is this the negate? I don't remember. Yeah, negate its effects until the end of the turn. Affect monster your opponent controls. And then 2 Asophiel. This one is actually good because you can make this in non-Exosister decks just for the effect of you can detach 1 material, target 1 monster your opponent controls, return to the hand. So you can just like bounce cards. I put this in like Gunkin, for example. And then of course you can get away with 2, but if you have them, just play 3 Magnifica. This is your boss monster. It can OTK. It can do a lot of work. And then of course the 1 king of all Xyz monsters, Divine Arsenal, AA Zeus, the Sky Thunder, aka Gundam in Yu-Gi-Oh! Anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the Exosister deck list. Let's go ahead and take a look at another one. As predictable as ever, we have Branded on the Fusion side, and if Exosister was a good deck representing Zeus as the boss monster of Xyz, Branded is by far the best representation of what I think is probably the best fusion monster in the game in Guardian Chimera. Well, Dragoon gives it a run for its money, but that's banned, so we're not going to go into that. And Mirror Jade gives it a decent run for its money, but I think Guardian Chimera is just so amazing. The fact that you can get it off of with Branded in red and Chimera Fusion, which isn't in the game yet, but is in the TCG and OCG. When that comes, this card is going to skyrocket in use. It is just so good. But let's go ahead and take a look at what my Branded list looks like. Again, there's a number of different ways you can play this deck. I think that the Fusion deployment method is way better for this event if you want to play like more Cartasia, but I don't have Fusion deployments. They are ultra rare. I didn't want to buy the structure deck, and I only have one Blazing Cartasia, so I'm not going to craft the second one. But I probably won't even use Branded, even though I have it, just because there are other fun decks to use. Anyways, in my list, I'm playing 2 Despian Tragedy. You can cut it to 1, you can play it at 3, totally up to you. Triple Maxi, no Ash Blossom, but double Ejim Chain, double Fallen of Albaz, double Aluber, 1 Tri-Brigade Mercurier. You could up this to 2 if you wanted. This is an actual very powerful negate when you have a Fallen of Albaz fusion monster on board. This card is like really good because Branded puts up so much disruption, and having a negate on top of that is just like mind-blowing. The deck is so good with the Mercurier in hand and the Albaz fusion monster on field. 1 Spriggan's Kit, 1 or 2 Blazing Cartasia, 1 Magnamit, 2 Soronir, and 1 Druis Worm, 1 Albion the Shrouded Dragon, 1 Ad Libitum, 1 Bestial Lubellion, which is limited to 1 for this event, 1 Nibiru as just an additional light target if you need it, double Polymerization, again pairing with the Ejim Chains, 1 Foolish Burial, which you can dump a Despian Tragedy off of, or a Bestial, you know, you could also do that, 1 Gold Sarcophagus to banish either a Mercurier or a Tragedy with to get the effects right away, 2 Fright for Patchwork, again, the Patchwork Engine there with the Poly and the Ejim Chain, 1 Branded in white as an additional fusion option, 1 Branded Fusion limited to 1, 1 Branded Lost, 1 Regained, double Super Poly, and this card gives fusion decks a slight edge over Xyz decks potentially, especially Branded, since you have so many monsters that can just go into like any light or dark monster on your side of the field and a Despia monster on my side of the field. So if I have a Tragedy, an Aluber, or an Ad Libitum, I just fuse that away with your monster that's light or dark, and I can make these very powerful fusion monsters out of my extra deck, and just, you know, out a very important like think about Exosister. We just looked at it, right? If they bring out Mykalis and you're just like, okay, Super Poly, you can't respond to it, get rid of your Mykalis, and I will bring out a Masquerade. Now you burned for 600 for everything else you tried to do. Super broken, right? And they banned Garua for this event, if you're wondering why that's not in the deck. And they had to, because if it wasn't banned, Branded would be absolutely busted. It's already busted in rank for those of you who think that like, oh, Branded Fusion at 1 is not so good. No, it's still a very good deck, and it will only get better with the Synchro support coming, and additional Branded support coming to the game very soon. Anyways, moving on to Call by the Grave, because Ash and Maxi are a thing in this format, as well as 1 Branded opening, another nerf to the deck here. But again, it's not going to hurt you that much. You have so many other ways to facilitate your fusion and get your spells and stuff that it's barely a consistency hit. 1 Branded in High Spirits, another consistency card that you're adding in. 1 Branded in red for the Guardian Chimera plays, of course, and 1 Branded Retribution, and finally 1 Branded Beast. The fact that you can play such a good engine in the Bestial engine in a Branded deck having such good synergy, like that's why this deck is insane. So you can see why like the deck is not just Branded Fusion makes or breaks the deck. At least in Master Duel, you have so many other options that you can go for to help you deal with threats and put up dynamic disruption, because that's what Branded does. That's why it's a fun deck. That's why it's a fair deck. It doesn't put up like a bunch of negates that is just annoying to play through. But like I said, you don't play Ash, so you're basically just all gas. You're just like, you negate me, you disrupt me, I'm just going to play through it with my next card. Okay, you negate my kit, I'm going to now go through the Bestials, or I'm going, you know, you negate my Branded Fusion, I'm going to Cartasia or Fusion Deployment, whatever. Like, you just are constant gas. Extra deck wise, Mud Dragon of the Swamp, 1 Dragosepilia, 1 Brigand. This is a send target for Mirror Jade, since Albion is also at 1 in this event, another nerf to the deck. So when you bring this out off of the Branded Fusion, you don't have another one later on to send. But if you bring this off of Branded Fusion, you're putting it in the graveyard anyways when you tribute the Lubellion that you sent to bring it back to field to get the Beast or the Regain. And this is in your graveyard for the end phase search anyways. 1 Croitus, double Masquerade. Putting both of these on board, you're going to be doing this probably more often than in regular ranked mode. Burning for 1200 is insane. You're going to win the game very fast if you get both of these out and your opponent doesn't have a way to deal with them early on. Double Mirror Jade still, and instead of 2 Albion, you're back to 2 Lubellion. Yes, you would play 2 Albion instead, but hey, it's limited to 1. 1 Granugol, 1 Rinbrum, which is insane interruption with the Fallen of Albaz. Of course, the face of fusions, in my opinion, the best fusion monster currently legal in Guardian Chimera, and then a flex spot, maybe, I don't know, you can play a Despian Proskinian if you wanted, and that is my branded list. Again, a number of different variations you could play, but again, I try to focus on consistency, and the Patchwork Engine can be a little bricky, but if you do get it off, I mean, you can cut this for, like I said, the fusion deployments. If you get this off, you generate a lot of advantage, especially going second and having access to like 1 or 2 Chimera. Like you do this and then you do this later on, like you're drawing so many cards off Chimera, potentially popping cards on the field. So good, untargetable, big body, just yeah, insane. So that's branded. There's a number of different ways to play it, but let's move on to the next one. Quantum, those decks are nice and all, and yeah, sure, they're going to be powerful, but they're too expensive. Okay, I hear you. Let's go to the budget option, and this is a deck that I also reviewed for the King of the Island event. You have a little bit more flexibility though in this event because you have access to cards that you didn't have access to for that event in things like the Turbo Booster, the Jester Confit, I don't know, and obviously some other additional hand traps like Nibiru and stuff. So you could play this deck in this event and the other event as well. It will suffer a little bit more in this event because while you increase the consistency of the deck because you can play these additional good level 1s that help you facilitate into your combos, you're dealing with like other actual meta relevant decks that are very powerful, like we just looked at, Exosister, branded, etc. So in order to get this off, you will likely need like decent board breakers. And again, I know you mostly care about back row here, but you probably want to play 3 Nibiru, hoping you have one in your opening hand if you go, well, you will be going second. But yeah, just playing more going second cards. Dark Hole deals, Raigeki deals with like branded boards and Exosister boards and stuff. So just having those on field to play through the disruption or out the disruption before it disrupts you is an option. But then you kind of feel bad because you're like, well, the whole point of like the Assembled Nightingale is to attack through the monster directly. But yeah, I mean, if you can out the other monsters that are actually the problem and still leave like relevant ones on board. But I mean, Raigeki is just clearing everything up anyways, right? So again, a number of different ways to build the deck and play it, but don't expect the same success with this deck in this event as compared to the other one. But the deck list is triple Turbo Booster, double Jester Confit, double Cobalt Sparrow, triple Sapphire Swallow, triple Turquoise Warbler, triple Barrel Canary, and double Celestine Wagtail, triple Max C, no Ash Blossom. Okay, so we let the opponent set up. It's fine. 2 Nibiru, you should probably play 3. Hope to see this in your opening hand when you go second. 1 Duster, 1 Lightning Storm to clear out back row. But honestly, is there any really back row heavy decks in this game, in this format? Probably not too many. Because they've limited and or banned the relevant ones that are actually powerful that would use back row. So you might want to swap these out for Raigeki, Dark Hole. Triple Jack in the Hand, again a consistency card. Bird Call, which is not limited like it is in the other event, can get you any bird or any Lyrilusc bird I should say, and it's not limited, so you can play 3. And then just your boosters, so triple Axe of Despair, triple Mage Power. I will be making a combo video on this deck on different ways that you can extend even without equipped spells and OTK, but that will be relevant for the King of the Island event. I won't be using this, like I said, in this event. It will just it's too hard to win with this in this event. Anyways, 1 Bird Sanctuary, which is searchable off of the Wagtail if you want, instead of searching for a Bird Call, and then 2 Swallow's Nest as a way to dynamically dodge disruption while still keeping a body on board. For the extra deck, 2 Slacker Magician. This extra deck doesn't matter aside from the Assembled Nightingale, but you could play like Recital Starling as well, which helps you facilitate OTKs if you don't have equipped spells. You can play the Draco package as well, which is interesting, and so this is very nice to see because this is one of the main things that the deck goes into in order to have some disruption. So even if you go first, you can put up a Utopic Draco and a Ensemble Blue, which is a pretty good special summon bounce, and a monster negate and take, pretty much if it's on the field. So decent options, but yeah, number 54 Lionheart doesn't matter. Utopic Future combos into the Draco Future, so you play that as the extender. 1 Sylvan Prince Sprite, which I guess you play a decent number of spells, so there's a good chance that if you don't have an equipped spell, you could mill 1 and get it to your hand. Double Starling, this is an ultra rare. If you have this already, you play it. If you don't, you don't. I don't think you craft this ultra rare for it, although this is basically the only ultra rare aside from like the staple hand traps and or boss monsters. And again, the Utopic Draco, totally up to you if you actually want to play it. Because again, you won't be going into this all that often. Your main card is the Assembled Nightingale, and then 1 Fucho, just in case you need to be unaffected for whatever reason. 1 Utopic Draco, 1 Ensemble Blue, 1 Promenade Thrush. Never really summoned this card, but in theory it has application to remove back row. That could be problematic. 1 Downward because you all run you run all low level Xyz or low rank Xyz, so you can go into downward, and then of course the big Zeus for the deck if needed, but most of the time hopefully you will not need it and we'll just be able to OTK. And that is a cheap, budget friendly, literally like nothing ultra rare or super rare except for bird calls and the wagtails, which is negligible, and again just regular hand traps that you would probably already have and or should have. So let's go ahead and look at the next deck. Of course, you already know that Konami is running these events to help promote their new pack. So how is their new pack going to do? Well, Mikanko is basically untouched. If we go ahead and take a look at the engine here and switch it over to see what's been forbidden and or limited, you can see that the deck is pretty much at full power, aside from Ohime being limited, or semi-limited I should say, to 2. If you have this deck and you've been playing it and you like it, it will be good for the event, absolutely. My deck list, if I was going to make it, was Maxi ×3, triple Ghost Mourner because this helps facilitate damage, and that's what you care about because you're going to OTK your opponent, and so that's why Ghost Mourner is good. Double Ha-Ri, 1 Nini, and 3 Hugh Lee. And then double Lava Golem, double Thunder King Kaiju, double Jizukuru Kaiju, and that should be all you need. Double Ohime, because again it's semi-limited, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 3 Hidden Armory, send the top card of your deck to the graveyard, add 1 equipped spell from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Pretty good. You can't normal summon the turn that you use this effect, which is fine because you don't really normal summon it anyways. I mean, you could use it, but it's, you know, usually hopefully something not yet you have to use. Triple Preparation of Rites, that kind of offsets the fact that Ohime is semi-limited, but it is what it is. It's kind of like when they ran that Legend Anthology event in semi-limited, like Illusion of Chaos or something. Or am I remembering that wrong? I think I'm remembering that wrong. But if they did, I mean, it's pointless because you just play 3 of the Searcher anyways. It's kind of like, why'd you buy ban Terraforming? But you kept this card. Like, I guess Rituals need all the help they can get, so you can't really blame them. But yeah, same concept. Anyways, moving on to the spells. Mikanko Fire Dance ×1, triple the Aberresque, okay, and 1 of the Reflection Rondo, 1 Dance Mayo Washi Dori. First time reading that one. And then, let's see, yeah, I already read over those ones. The Great Mikanko Ceremony ×2, double Imperm, 1 Mikanko Promise, and 1 Mikanko Rivalry. So, interesting main deck, and obviously the extra deck here doesn't really matter. Punished Eagle, I'm not going to go over this stuff. What you do care about is maybe going into a 3 Xyz, so something like the Fortune Tune, and then going into Down or going into Zeus. That's basically your only Xyz play with this deck. This deck is a main deck that just OTKs you very, very fast. So take that as you will, but Mikanko will be a decent deck to rep the event with. Of course, I'm going to have to talk about Purrely because this is one of the main reasons Konami is throwing this event, is that they want to promote their new pack, which Purrely is in, and sure enough, it is an Xyz deck and it will be top tier for the event. However, it does have one key problem. If we look at Purrely and search up the ban list, you can see that Purrely Noir, which is the Purrely card, this is their Towers monster, this is their Dynamic Disruption during the opponent's turn to bounce cards, is not going to be legal. It is banned, and this is how you inherently balance Purrely. So Konami, yeah, I think this card probably should be banned. This is quite an annoying card, even though I haven't really gone up against it that much in ranked. I know I definitely do not want to see it in ranked, and even having access to it and testing it out myself, it does seem very, very good. Anyways, moving on to the deck list here. Double Veiler, double Joel and Locke, because you want to maximize your chances that you draw hand traps when your Sleepy Memory is attached to any of your Xyz monsters, or Purrely Xyz monsters, I should say. Triple Purrely, triple Purrely, of course, triple Maxi, triple Ash, double Nibiru. Probably should play 3, but it's fine. Double or triple Purrely Street actually for the festival, just because hard drawing it is nice, but you technically don't need to have to do this because the normal or special summon of this card will search out these guys, and so it'll do kind of your dirty work for you, making it that you don't have to search it for yourself. Okay, moving on, we've got triple My Friend Purrely, double Call by the Grave, triple Happy Memory, triple Pretty Memory, triple Delicious Memory, and triple Sleepy Memory. And then of course double the trap card, the Purrely, I don't know how to say it. Your extra deck probably doesn't matter. We've got a level 1 Slacker Magician, we've got a level 1 Sylvan Princess Sprite, but you're never really going to go into those. So we're going to skip over these level 1s, go straight to level 2s, or not even level 2s, these are also 1s because they Xyz into a 1, sorry, my mistake. The Ensemble Blue Robin is good for a monster bounce, which is good. And then we've got the Downward line, but yeah, these are just all Purrely cards, so Happiness and Beauty, Plump, and the Plump is the main one you want to go into. And then from there you can go downward into Zeus, or just save it for your turn again, and then yeah, you just end up upgrading it into Happiness because you don't have access to Noir. So that is the Purrely deck. It will still be good, but it won't necessarily be as oppressive as it is in Ranked with the banning of Noir. Now, of course, there's a ton of decks that you could play, and I'm not going to go over every single one. There are more Fusion decks that are viable, more XYZ decks that are viable, but another option, if you really wanted to play Ancient Warriors or you wanted a deck that could be used in both formats, this deck will be available in both formats. So triple Maxi, triple Ash Blossom. I'm not going to go over the deck list again because it's more or less the same as the other one, and you should have checked that video already anyways. If not, make sure you check it. The timestamps are in the description for the deck. But yeah, this deck is not seeing the limitation on the Sun Mu, so you can definitely play 3 and have the deck pretty much at full power. Now again, because the overall power level of the format is higher than the King of the Island, but lower than the meta in general, Ancient Warriors aren't necessarily going to be super broken. They will have some answers to them, but you can still do very, very well with this deck, especially if you have mostly all or all the components already. You have a free way to play both events that is really, really good. Before we wrap up this video, I think I might want to look at the starter deck, so let's go over and see what's going on over there. So let's go ahead and take a quick look at the loner decks here. We've got the Dancing King of Beasts, so this is a Lunalight deck. Probably have decent Lunalights. You know, they can extend, they have extenders, so this deck probably isn't that bad to play if you're looking for something absolutely free. I have no idea. Oh, this is a Lyrilusc deck, but it doesn't play the equip spell to OTK, I don't think. I don't know what this does, but it probably doesn't OTK. I'm not going to read that, that's huge. And yeah, it plays like some of the more basic decks. You're better off just crafting it since it's essentially free to play and going for the OTK option yourself. Oh yeah, you definitely have. Oh no, they have it. I was like, do they not have Assembled Nightingale in here? But like I said, you can boost up the Assembled Nightingale pretty strongly with the Recital Starling and just go for game anyways if you can get enough materials underneath the Assembled Nightingale. So this deck might actually be viable too. Wow, Konami stepping up their loner game. The final deck, oh wow, a Pendulum deck. No idea how this plays. Never played Pendulums before. Played against them, of course, and they seem pretty strong when they get their combos going. But they also seem very weak going second, so I don't know if this deck solves that problem. But an interesting way to try Pendulums. No Electromite, clearly, because it's a Link monster, and this is a Fusion and XYZ festival. But yeah, there you have it. The loner decks might not be a bad choice if you really are looking for something that is truly free to play. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video, guys. Hopefully it was helpful. Let me know in the comment section below what else you'd want to see and or if the video was helpful. Thank you again for watching. If you made it this far, Quantum is out.